Good day. Thank you for joining us for today's news. If you find this helpful, please consider subscribing. We're here every day with calm, clear updates just for you.
In a thrilling opener of the T20 Treasuries in Harare, the Black Caps delivered a commanding 20-run victory over South Africa. This match was a significant milestone for new head coach Rob Walter, who took charge of the team for the first time since his tenure with the Proteas. The Treasuries, featuring New Zealand, South Africa, and Zimbabwe, promises to be a high-stakes competition. The Black Caps, led by Captain Mitchell Santner, catered strong performances from key players like Devon Conway and Glenn Phillips. South Africa, under the leadership of Rassie van der Dusen, put up a fight but fell short. With the series now underway, the Black Caps will face each of their opponents twice before the final on July the 26th. The team's performance in this Treasuries will be a crucial indicator of their readiness for the upcoming Interés. The Black Caps will need to maintain their momentum and adapt to the challenges posed by both South Africa and Zimbabwe.
South Island drivers are being warned about dangerous conditions on state highways 8 and 80, where freezing fog and black ice are creaky. NZT officials are advising drivers to slow down, increase following distances, and use headlights. They're also reminding people that road closures or restrictions could be introduced if necessary. While contractors are working to grit and deloise the roads, the best advice is to avoid undue. Drivers are being urged to prepare for sudden changes in conditions and to carry emergency supplies just in case. This is a reminder that even familiar roads can become treacherous in winter weather, and caution is key.
Winter is here, and for many New Zealand children, it's a season of hardship with the cost of living crisis deepening. More than 150,000 kids live in poverty, and many are forced to sleep in cold, damp bedrooms. Some even sleep on the floor with moldy mattresses. The consequences are serious. Children in overcrowded, poorly insulated homes face a higher risk of illnesses like strep throat, bronchiolitis, and even rheumatic fever, which can cause lifelong heart damage. In Northland alone, over 200 children are at risk due to inadequate bedding, despite New Zealand's wealth and progredia. The government has failed to meet child poverty reduction targets, and with the economy struggling, things don't look promising, but there's hope. Charities like Variety are working to provide beds through their winter appeal. However, the fact that such an appeal is even needed is a sad reflection of where we are. It's time for the nation to step up and ensure no child is left behind in this crisis.
A leading Orca expert in Northland is calling for the rejection of a major Marina development in the Bay of Islands, warning it could push the region's Orca population toward extinction. Dr. Ingrid Visser, renowned for her decades of work with orcas, says the proposed $100 million marina in Waipiro Bay could be the tipping point for the soar. The project, backed by wealthy developers, involves extensive dredging and land reclamation that could permanently damage the orca's habitat. Visser argues that the marina would increase boat traffic and harm marine mammals, defied the developers. Clay by Intherit Minister Chris Bishop is currently considering the application, but critics say the fast-track process risks overlooking long-term investment process of the orca population, and the Bay of Islands ecosystem hangs in the balance.
A recent report reveals that more than half of Crown Regional Holdings' $257 million loan book is at risk of default, with rising impairment provisions and several high-profile. The entity, which was formerly known as the Provincial Growth Fund, has seen a significant increase over ongoing growth fund. The entity, which was formed with raising to T. This marks a sharp rise from 40% in 2023 and 14% in 2022. Over the past 3 years, the net loan book has expanded from $173 million, despite the need for substantial impairment provisions. In 2024 alone, CRH recorded $19.3 million in loan impairments. CRH's chair, John Ray, acknowledged the growing risk in his foreword to the report, noting that the rise in at-risk loans was not unexpected, given the challenging macro and One of the most significant investments by CRH is the $110 million allocated to the expansion and development of Tiki Harbor in addition to loans. CRH has also made equity in Vesti, Orca Mussels, a company that has been losing money for years. Not all of CRH's equity investments have been a financial drain. In 2024, the entity was able to revalue its stake in lithium and silica extraction, startup 240, from $7 million to $6.2 million, and secured a secondary market share sale. 240 also received a $10 million loan from CRH. The release of CRH's 2024 report was delayed for nearly a year due to the complexity of assessing its loan and investment portfolio. Audit NZ Express Compayfat Atori Ture. The audit note attached to the 2024 report was identical to that of the previous year, emphasizing the challenges in estimating the value of loans and securities, as well as the determination of discount rates and expected crash loss. At 3 additional loan recipients have entered liquidation since the balance date. One of the most notable cases is that of Cherry Global, a Hawke's Bay cherry producer that received a $5 million loan from CRH to recover after Cyclone Gabrielle. Less than 18 months later, Cherry Global collapsed into liquidation, leaving CRH as one of the unsecured creditors, owed $42 million. Other high-profile defaults include Staffdemo Foods, a plant-based food manufacturer that entered voluntary administration and left CRH with an expected shortfall of $895,616 on its $1.4 million low-sulfur Tini Sanchin boat. As CRH continues to face mounting financial challenges, the government and regulators are under pressure to ensure that the entity's risk management practices are robust enough to prevent further losses, with the next report expected to reveal more write-downs. The future of CRH's investment strategy reminded down.
In Taitokerau and South Auckland, high failure rates in NCE illiteracy and numeracy exams are causing alarm. These mandatory tests are obligatory to Nali A. In South Auckland, the numbers were similarly concerning, with only 43% passing the reading test. The data also revealed that students who had previously failed were even less likely to seek deepening educational wisdom. As the debate continues, the need for targeted support and systemic changes becomes increasingly urgent. The government has responded with a $2.5 million boost.
The All Blacks are set to face France in a crucial third test at FMG Stadium in Hamilton, with head coach Scott Robertson naming his squad for the match. This will be the first time the French team plays the All Blacks in Hamilton, a venue where New Zealand has an impressive 50-win record. The All Blacks are looking to complete a 3-0 series sweep, which would be the 5th time they have achieved this feat in history. With key players like Scott Barrett ruled out, the team is relying on returning stars like Seville Reese and potentially Cody Taylor, who could be close to his 100th Test cap. The match will be officiated by Angus Gardner, who has a strong record with the All Blacks bands. Can follow the action via live commentary on Newstalk, ZB and Sky Sport 1. This game is a significant moment for the team as they aim to build on their recent success and secure a historic series.
President Donald Trump has denied allegations that he is planning to fire Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, despite recent discussions in the White House suggesting otherwise. Trump met with Republican lawmaker Senator denied the claims. The potential threat of removal caused a temporary dip. Trump has long criticized Powell, arguing that lower interest rates would help manage the U.S. budget deficit. However, this recent episode pays Tapei Som Powell, citing the Fed's tenured Pasha's Truchers siding. The Fed. Historically, Trump's advisors have warned against such a move, fearing it could undermine market confidence. Powell has made it clear he will not resign and is prepared to fight any attempts to remove him. Meanwhile, Trump mistakenly claimed the fact that Trump himself nominated him in 2017. The situation highlights the ongoing tension between the Trump administration and the Federal Reserve, with Powell firmly in his role.
Recent clashes in Syria have placed the Druze minority at the center of rising tensions, with Israel prompting renewed quietes by Israel as it claims to be protecting the community. The Druze, a unique religious group concentrated in southern Syria and the Golan Heights. However, the new Syrian government, led by President Ahmed al-Shara, has been working to consolidate power, leading to conflict with Druze groups. Israel has launched fresh strikes against Syrian forces as Stantor Suweda off. The situation remains tense, with the international community watching closely to see whether a new era of cooperation can emerge or if the cycle of violence will continue.
Food prices across the country have risen sharply, with butter now nearly 50% more expensive than a year ago. Steve's NZ reports that grocery and meat prices have also surged, contributing to a growing cost of living crisis. Political figures have criticized
Residents in Northland, Auckland, the Coromandel Peninsula, and the East Coast are facing a day of heavy rain and powerful gales. As the New Zealand Met Service has issued multiple weather alerts, a low-pressure system is to blame for the current weather chaos, with wind gusts reaching up to 75 km/h at Cape Ringa and 70 km/h. Heavy rainfall has been recorded across the region, with Birkdale in Auckland receiving 19 millimeters of rain in just 1 hour this morning. Met Service has issued a heavy rain watch for Gisborne, Tarwini, and Hawke's Bay, with the possibility of these alerts being upgraded to warnings. In particular, the East Coast faces a heightened risk of flooding, as streams and rivers may rise rapidly, leading to surface flooding, slips, and difficult driving conditions. A road snowfall warning has been issued for the Desert Road section of State Highway 1, with up to 3 centimeters of snow expected at higher elevations. Residents are advised to stay indoors, avoid unnecessary travel, and monitor local weather updates closely.
The All Blacks are set for a dramatic transformation in their lineup ahead of the third test against France in Hamilton. With 10 changes to the starting XV, the team is clearly looking to shake things up and test new combinations as Theo Groot, Fabian Holland, Patrick Tupulotu, Ardi Sabia, and Rico Ioner retain their position. New faces like Samisoni Tauki, Aho, and Tyrell Lomax step into key roles in the forwards, while the backline sees significant changes, with Cortez Ratema and Damian McKenzie forming the halfback pairing. Ruben Love takes over at fullback in the absence of Bowden Barrett, who is recovering. The bench is also brimming with emerging talent, including Brodie McAllister, who is set for his debut. Coach Scott Robertson has expressed confidence, and the players Cofferly.
In a devastating crash on Masters RD in Vaiuku, Frances Latuvelia, her daughter Ru Nahi, and her niece Marley lost their lives. The tragedy has left the community in shock and has sparked a call for road safety improvements. A fundraising effort has been launched to support the family, and the police are investigating Kapor. Local residents are expressing concerns about the narrow and dangerous road, which many believe contributed to the crash. Frances, a beloved court registrar, was remembered as a devoted mother and friend. The loss of the 2 young children has left a deep void in the hearts of those who knew them.
New Zealand's job market has seen a dramatic shift in the second quarter of 2025. While the number of job listings has dropped to near-record lows, salaries have hit an all-time high, according to the latest Trade Me Jobs reports. The highest ever recorded reached 73,820. Fewer job listings, businesses are still seeing strong interest, with applications per listing remages. However, hiring has become more cautious, especially in major cities like Auckland and Wellington. The only region to see a drop in salaries were rising wages. The education sector saw the biggest increase in applications, with more than 23% growth. While the current economic environment, there's a sense of optimism as the OCR is expected to decrease and the cost of living begins to ease. The shift in the job market highlights a period of adjustment, but the outlook for the rest of 2012.
In a heartbreaking incident in Waipiro, a mother, her daughter, and her niece were killed in a car crash, leaving behind 3 young children, including an 8-week-old baby. Francis Latuvelea, a court registry officer, was one of the victims, along with her 5-year-old daughter and 7-year-old niece. The crash occurred when their car left Masters Road and crashed into a nearby culvert. The tragedy has left Latuvelea's husband as the sole carener for their 3 sons, aged 8 weeks, 2, and 12. A fundraising page has been set up to support the family with the hope of easing the financial burden on the grieving husband. The Waipiro community has been deeply affected, with residents expressing shock and calling for improved road safety measures on Masters Road, a narrow and dangerous stretch of road that has been the site of multiple accidents. Local residents and officials have raised concerns about the road's condition. As the community mourns, the incident has raised a call for action to ensure the safety of drivers and residents on this notorious road.
A recent sighting in Nelson has reignited hope for the return of the South Island kokaoko, a bird declared extinct in 2008. Conservationists are now working to confirm the bird's presence and protect its future.
A recent report has revealed that a large number of students in New Zealand failed the NCE literacy and numeracy exams in May, with the lowest pass rates recorded in Taitokau and South Auckland. These results have sparked widespread concern about the impact of no students, especially those from disadvantaged backgrounds. The data shows the students in these regions had significantly lower pass rates compared to the national average, with only 49% of Taitokau students passing the reading test and 39% passing the writing test. In South Auckland, the pass rates were slightly higher, but still below the national average. Repeat test takers performed even worse, with recit pass rates much lower than those of first-time participants. Year 12 and 13 students also struggled, with pass rates well below the national average. Maori and Pacific students had even lower pass rates than other groups, highlighting success. Principals have warned that these high failure rates could lead to a generation of students leaving school without any NCEA qualification. As the debate over the future of NCEA continues, the focus must remain on ensuring that every student, regardless of background or region, has the opportunity to succeed and achieve their full potential.
With the series against France already secured, All Blacks head coach Scott Robertson is preparing to take a calculated risk in the final test. Of the series in Hamilton, this match offers a rare par 4 intuitive, which aims to ensure the All Blacks have 4 test quality players in each position by 2000. As injuries open the door for new players like Naitoa Akoi, Robertson faces the challenge of balancing experimentation while also managing the risk of introducing untested players against a resilient French team.
In the Tasman region of New Zealand, farmers are facing a crisis after devastating floods left widespread damage to farmland, homes, and infrastructure. The government has stepped in with a $500,000 support package to help those affected, but the scale of the destruction is immense. Farmers Ike Ian Parks described the floods as the worst they've seen in decades at Faman, DC. The region is still reeling from 2 major flood events, and more heavy rain is expected in the coming weeks. Local leaders warn that the damage to roads, rivers, and farmland could have long-term consequences, and the recovery process will be slow and challenging. Despite the hardship, the resilience of the farming community shines through as they work.
The Black Caps have made a strong start in the T20 Series in Zimbabwe, defeating South Africa by 21 runs. Tim Robinson and debutant Bevan Jacobs shared an unbeaten century partnership, setting the tone for the match. South Africa's chase collapsed under pressure in Shaner. The Treasuries continues with upcoming matches between the Black Caps and Zimbabwe, with the final scheduled for July the 26th.